Honourable Anne Genter.
Mr. Speaker, I bring a message from Duncan McLean, a retailer in Newtown in my electorate of Rongotai for 24 years and a founding member of Newtown Heart, which is the local business group. He says the homelessness situation in Newtown is the worst I have ever seen. As a retailer, I am constantly approached for money, whether walking down the street or even while using an ATM. My customers regularly tell me they feel unsafe. Many say they no longer allow their children to walk through Newtown alone. Every week, I witness drug dealers interacting with homeless people, and discarded drug bags are left on the streets, right where people and children from our 3 local schools can see them. Public drinking continues despite a drinking ban, and at night, many areas feel unsafe due to poor lighting. Now, Duncan is working hard for his community, like so many others. Newtown Heart Association, we've got a whole series of local people in Newtown who've banded together to write an open letter to Minister Potaka and Minister Bishop, the ministers of housing and homelessness, to tell them how bad the situation has gotten over the last year and a half. It's been signed by the Residents Association, the local sports club, the churches, the community center, the local volunteer community patrol team, the local and regional councillors, the mayor, the deputy mayor of Wellington, and businesses up and down the street. No less than 20 different businesses are all crying out for this government to take responsibility. It is not good enough to come into this House and use some statistics to pretend like the problem isn't growing. It's out there on the street. So I sent this letter on behalf of the community to the ministers on Friday last week, asking them to come walk the streets of Newtown. This is not a political stunt. This is not to score political points. These people want genuine solutions. Everybody cares about their community. And the reality is that certain decisions this government has taken have left us in a worse position. The Salvation Army, this was in the paper on Monday. It's about the rough sleeping crisis deepening and the communities grappling with rising homelessness and a whole host of other problems, because when people don't have a safe, secure place to call home, they are much more likely to fall prey to substance abuse issues. And if we don't have that wraparound support, then there's no way for them to get out of the downward spiral. Now, our community provides a lot of social housing, and that is ratepayers putting money into social housing, huge amounts of it, and that's good. But the reality is, it is a central government responsibility. Now, they've canceled 200 new units that would have been built in Rongotai, in the Rongotai electorate. They canceled them. Where's the community housing provider contracts? Not a single one given to a community housing provider to increase the supply of housing in Wellington. That's the reality. So we don't have the housing being built that we need. We don't have funding for the social support services, wraparound services that we need to support people who are suffering from trauma or substance abuse issues. The police are at their wits' end. They have people who have such complex needs. They might be taking some very extreme actions in public, taken to the hospital, but they can't, there's no room for them there in the hospital. Where are they supposed to go? There's a need for positive, constructive solutions. And the Salvation Army, one of the signatories on this open letter, which I sent to the ministers, noted that there has been an increase in homelessness and that it is directly related, 386% rise in Ministry of Social Development rejections of emergency housing. So that's a direct result of the government's actions. This is having an impact on our community. It's having an impact on businesses. It's having an impact on safety. And we cannot solve the problem on our own. This isn't just in Newtown. It's deeply related to my colleague Tamitha Paul, who's also the MP for Wellington Central, her electorate. Both of our communities across the city are being affected by government decisions to cancel state house builds, to not move on Arlington, to increase the criteria for emergency housing, and to cut funding for social support services. It may be good news for those people in the Koru Club and those with investment properties, but come walk the streets. I invite any member from the government benches to come to Newtown. It's on your way to the airport. Come with me to Newtown, come see what's happening, and let's solve this problem.
The Honourable Ginny Andersen.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. You've got to hand it to the National Party, Mr Speaker, that they have taken selective memory to a whole new level.
Have they what?
It's pretty impressive that they can recall every single detail of the previous government except the part where National voted for the COVID payment and asked for more. That's the only bit they can't remember. During COVID, they were not standing in this House asking for fiscal discipline or fiscal restraint. They only voted in support of the payments and they asked for it to be increased.
What?
For National, history isn't something to be remembered, it's something to be rewritten. And so let's take a trip down memory lane. Contestant number 1 on Let's Rewrite New Zealand's History is Paul Goldsmith. And Paul Goldsmith, back in 20th of March 2020, said, "We obviously back him," that's Grant Robertson, "in his wise decision-making about how that money is spent. But all in all, we support this bill and we hope it will make some step towards helping some of the businesses survive." He also said, "I support the broader point that we would make that it is necessary for the government to go further in terms of offering relief to those businesses affected." And he also said, "So we support the government in this bill and we encourage them to go further." But there's more. He said quite a bit on it because he was the finance spokesperson at the time. He says, "And that's why National has been broadly supportive of the very significant increase in government spending outlined in this budget and the need to go further into debt." Nobody in this country right now is saying, "Oh, we should not be spending anything and we should be going back to austerity." Nobody is saying that. The words of Paul Goldsmith. Mr Speaker, that's not an example of fiscal responsibility. That's an example of political amnesia. Number 2, let's look at number 2. Number 2 in tonight is Dan Bidwar. What did Dan Bidwar say about the COVID payment? He says, I do want to raise the issue that I don't think that this is enough support for the business community. This is by far not sufficient to address some of the challenges that these businesses will face in the next few years. Well, for Mr Bidwar, by Nicola Willis's standards, I do believe that that makes him a fiscal vandal or an economic vandal. So maybe he should sort that one out. Number 3, the third and final contestant on Let's Rewrite New Zealand's History is Andrew Bailey. I've saved the best till last. Mr Bailey, what did he have to say in relation to the COVID payment? He says, "I don't think for a moment that anyone thinks we shouldn't be spending large amounts of money to support vulnerable New Zealanders and particularly vulnerable businesses in New Zealand. It was right and proper that support measures were put in place." Thank you for that, Mr Bailey. That was a great contribution. But wait, there's even more, Mr Speaker. There was a whole new COVID payment. Judith Collins announced an entire new COVID payment to help people self-isolate, and that was National Party policy. They wanted to increase the existing COVID payment. But today, with the benefit of hindsight and a fresh round of talking points, National pretend to be the great masters of fiscal discipline. It's basically like signing a cheque and then yelling at the bank for cashing it. Suddenly, the very spending they supported is treated as reckless, as wasteful, as if it happened without their fingerprints all over it, and we know it was. That's not principle, Mr Speaker. That's not leadership, Mr Speaker. That is pure and simple hypocrisy. New Zealanders aren't fooled. They know when someone is trying to rewrite our history, and they deserve to hear the truth, that National not only supported the COVID payment, but they wanted more of it at that time. Their outrage that we hear today and over the past months is nothing more than absolute theatre designed to distract New Zealand from the harsh realities that we are facing now. And that reality is that there is no plan for jobs, that there is no plan for getting your GP, that there is no plan for more homes, and we are facing record levels of unemployment, 18,000 construction workers fewer in New Zealand, record levels of homelessness, and hundreds of people who wait and wait to see a doctor and they can't. And on top of all this, Mr. Speaker, the cost of living continues to increase. New Zealanders deserve some hope right now, not the rewrite of history that we see going on. What we need is jobs, health, homes, and some actual plan to get our economy back on track. An economy, Mr. Speaker, that works for everybody, not those just at the top. Yeah.